20 details about Alice and Jasper from Twilight that just come off as being way too weird. There are lots of strange things in the Twilight saga, including super-powered mystical creatures all over the place, but vampires Alice and Jasper are two of the strangest. While they're very popular characters, even the most diehard fans of the pair would have to admit there are some things about them that don't add up. Is it bad writing, or were they always supposed to be a bit off-kilter? Read about these 20 little things, and then decide for yourself. One of the biggest complaints about Twilight is that Bella sacrifices all to be with Edward. It's unequal, critics have said, and potentially misogynistic. However, although the Jasper-Alice relationship bears lots of resemblances to the Edward-Bella one, in this case it's the man who has to give something up. Before meeting Alice, Jasper happily feasted on human blood, as you'd expect a vampire to. But his love for her changed him, and he ended up going vegetarian and joining the Cullen clan. The Jasper whom readers first meet is almost unrecognizable from the original Jasper, who was a ruthless, albeit remorseful, killer. Alice's backstory is one of the most interesting parts of the whole Twilight narrative. She was placed in an insane asylum by her father, lost her memory and ended up being turned by a friendly vampire who wanted to protect her from the evil James. But when Alice researches her past, she discovers she had a sister. Alice's sister was called Cynthia, and she ended up having a daughter, which means Alice has at least one living relative out there. The daughter, Alice explains in New Moon, is still alive in Biloxi. But seeing that Alice has been reported dead and even has a tombstone, she can't bring herself to meet her niece, as it would be such a difficult situation to explain. Twilight is big on love at first sight. However, Alice and Jasper experience love at first vision instead. After Alice was turned into a vampire, she began having intense visions of a future relationship with Jasper. Obviously, these came true, and Alice and Jasper were together by the time of the first Twilight installment. However, it's a little odd that Alice didn't really know Jasper at all when she fell in love with him. Heck, she'd never even seen him in person. When they did eventually encounter each other, Alice said to Jasper that she'd spent a great deal of time anticipating this moment. Jasper replied, "I'm sorry, ma'am." It's sweet, but not terribly realistic in terms of how relationships really evolve. Think of Twilight, and you think of all the common romantic tropes: kissing, hugging, swooning into each other's arms. But Jasper and Alice don't actually seem to do a lot of that, especially not compared to other vampires. They weren't as flamboyant about their relationship as Rosalie and Emmett were. Bella notes in Eclipse, however, considering that they're meant to be hopelessly in love, it's perhaps a little odd that they don't show it much. This ended up being changed for the movies, in fact. Bella observes the two of them intertwined when they sit at their lunch table, for instance, and they're just a lot more demonstrative in general. Alice and Jasper are a bit too perfect in a way. Jasper never questions her, they never have massive fights, they're instantly trusting of each other when they first meet. Is it a bit too unrealistic? Maybe. On the other hand, maybe the books simply didn't have time to include scenes of them bickering over the housework. The world of Twilight is full of mystical things. And even before they became vampires, Alice and Jasper both happened to have powers that set them apart from other humans. Alice had the ability to see the future and foresee people's deaths, for example, which made her a pariah among her original family, and yet Jasper attends high school, a place full of humans. By extension, anywhere that houses lots of people is going to see plenty of cuts, nosebleeds and blood in general. So surely Jasper should have flipped out long ago? It's true that Bella's blood is supposed to smell especially good, but only to Edward, not to Jasper. Alice began life as a human prophetess, and it wasn't easy for her. Frequently she would try to stop things from happening, but they would occur anyway. She warned her cousin not to take a trip, for instance, but he did anyway, and was killed on the journey. Alice's aunt subsequently blamed her for the death. Alice couldn't even protect her own mother, in fact. Upon foreseeing her mom's death, she convinced her mother to remain in the house for a while, but her father then put an end to that. As a result, Alice's mother left their home, and died. After losing so many people, Alice must have been very relieved to find Jasper, so no wonder she's so close to him. Jasper and Alice seem to have only disagreed on one major issue: Bella. Alice adored her straight away, but Jasper in contrast was more than happy to drink her blood. I think Jasper's idea was just, if he didn't have Alice, he would have just killed Bella and been done with it. Actor Jackson Rathbone, who portrayed Jasper in the movie adaptations, told IO9 in 2012. Thankfully, Jasper cared for Alice so much that he was willing to try to welcome Bella in the end. In New Moon, at Bella's request, the whole Cullen clan vote on whether she should become a vampire and a Cullen, or whether she should remain a human. Alice and Jasper both opt for the former. Vampire ages are confusing. Since they're immortal, none of them actually become any older. Instead, they remain physically the same as they were when they were turned. Jasper is therefore forever 19 years of age, while Alice doesn't even remember her exact age, as she recalls little about her pre-vampire existence. However, despite being a couple, Alice and Jasper don't pretend to be the same age. Jasper actually graduates high school before Alice does. But there's no real need for that. Indeed, there's seemingly nothing stopping them from maintaining a pretense. On the other hand, though, Jasper is in a way older, since he was turned before Alice was. According to Meyer, Alice and Jasper just are together, and have been from before they even met. She went on, they are not complete without each other, and never were. That's what makes them different from the other couples, that never were. They were already not whole before they met, waiting for each other. Fair enough, but surely there's something to be said for individuality, too? As we've already heard, it was Alice's visions that led her to Jasper. But in other respects, her powers are a little odd. She can't see werewolves at all in her visions, for example, so Jacob doesn't appear in them. She can't see her half-vampire niece Renesmee, either. However, this creates a rather glaring plot hole in the story. Alice and Jasper may be supernatural beings, but they still need access to money. The Cullens certainly have a lot of it, too. Their huge house contains a library, a grand piano and some fancy technology. Why, then, do Alice and Jasper keep all their cash in their bedroom instead of in a bank? Now, to be fair, the Cullen house does have some security built in. There's a keypad that locks down the building in case of an emergency, for example. But Alice and Jasper could use a bank because Jasper happens to know a lawyer who provides the Cullens with forged identities. And yet, they choose not to when Bella is introduced to the world of vampires. She wants to be one. And to be fair, having sparkling skin and special powers is pretty cool. Jasper and Alice never chose to be vampires, however. Alice was turned into one by a staff member at the asylum she was in, who did so in order to save her. Jasper, meanwhile, was turned by the vampire Maria to build her an army. Whenever a couple move in together, discussions about who gets what space inevitably come up. However, Alice and Jasper have it differently. Alice apparently has all of what's supposed to be a joint room, and Jasper is relegated to a study. Stephanie Meyer tried to explain it on the Twilight lexicon in 2006. Among the many special things that Alice can do is foresee movements in the stock market. A user of the TV Tropes website took umbrage with that idea, though. The canon explanation for her power is that she can keep an eye on the decisions people make. Now, economics isn't my area of expertise, but I'm pretty sure the stock market isn't affected by the decisions of one or two people, they wrote on the Twilight Head Scratchers page. This means that for some of your larger companies, she would probably have to be tuned into the decisions of thousands or even tens of thousands of people at once, the post on TV Tropes continued. Even if we accept the rather dubious idea that she can focus in on people she's never seen or met before, how does she not collapse from the mental exertion? Answers on a postcard. Vampires seem to stick with the traditional thing of the woman taking the man's last name upon marriage. Esme became a Cullen after marrying Carlisle, for example, as did Bella after wedding Edward. However, Jasper and Alice have different last names. He's a Hale, while she, like most of the others, is a Cullen, and Alice packs the bags with sexy underwear. Considering her relationships with both Bella and Edward, that seems to be crossing a line a little. On the other hand, it's because of Alice's bag packing that Bella notices hygiene products in there and deduces that she's pregnant. So maybe all's well that ends well? It's complicated being a Cullen. Although none of them were related at birth, they're all part of the same vampire family. Carlisle and Esme are the parents, and the others are their children, so to speak. And ever since they've been around, they've assiduously maintained cover stories so no one will think anything is amiss. Check out 20 details about Alice and Jasper from Twilight that just come off as being way too weird. Watch out this complete video and share your thoughts in the comment box. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more related videos.